The junkyard stretched far across the cracked ground, a graveyard of broken ships, metal scraps, and forgotten machines. Sunlight reflected off bent panels and shattered hulls, creating a dull, golden glow that masked the decay beneath. It wasn't much, but it was home for Cole at least. Cole was a human technician, once part of a deep space salvage crew before the war ended and most contracts dried up. Now he worked alone, keeping the local junkyard in order on the edge of a dying colony. He fixed what could be fixed, sorted what had value, and turned everything else into walls, tools, or heat. Most days were quiet, most nights silent. Until today, it started with a noiseless faint clatter coming from the far side of the yard. Cole looked up from his workstation, squinting toward the pile of crushed escape pods near the back fence. The sound didn't match wind or falling debris. It was light, careful, alive. He grabbed his flashlight and headed toward the sound, moving slowly. Junk shifted beneath his boots as he stepped through narrow paths between rusted engines and torn metal sheets. He reached the pile and stopped. He could feel someone watching him. Who's there? He called out, not angry, just cautious. No answer. He waited a moment, then stepped forward and aimed the light toward a broken freighter hull. That's when he saw her. A small figure crouched behind a cracked control panel. She had thin limbs, pale skin with a faint violet tint and large glowing eyes. An alien child. Her clothes were torn, her hands dirty, and her expression frozen in fear. Cole raised both hands slowly. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Still, she didn't move. Then, from behind her, another figure stepped out, taller, also alien. The child's mother. She placed herself between Cole and the girl, shielding her protectively. Her face showed tiredness, not anger. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Cole lowered the light. You're hiding, he said, gently. The woman nodded slowly. Please, we don't want trouble. We just needed somewhere quiet. Somewhere empty. Cole could hear the desperation in her voice. This wasn't a trick or a trap. They were scared, hungry, and alone. He sighed. This is private ground, but I don't turn people away if they're not causing harm. The girl peeked out from behind her mother. Her eyes locked with Cole's for a moment, then quickly looked down. Are you hungry? He asked. The mother hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. Cole reached into his bag and pulled out a sealed ration bar. He placed it on a nearby crate and stepped back. You can take it, he said softly. The girl moved first. She picked up the food and handed it to her mother, who opened it and gave her the first bite. The girl chewed slowly, eyes still watching. Cole, unsure whether to trust him. The silence between them stretched, heavy with caution. Cole spoke again. How long have you been here? 2 days, the mother replied. We came from the north sector. They chased us out. Security, he asked. She nodded. They don't want our kind near the colony, especially not after what happened during the war. Cole had heard that before. Rules were tight. Aliens, even harmless ones, were seen as threats. But this wasn't war. This was survival. I live here, Cole said. There's a supply shed not far from here. I can bring you more food, water, maybe some blankets. The mother looked unsure. Why? Cole paused. Because I would have wanted someone to do the same for me. The girl finally spoke. Her voice soft and shaky. Can we stay? The mother placed a hand on her shoulder. Only if it's safe. Cole nodded. You can stay. But we'll need to be careful. No lights, no noise after sundown. I'll build you something to sleep in so you're not out here in the open. The mother's eyes softened. Thank you. Cole turned and began walking back to his tools. As he moved, he spoke without looking back. This place is full of trash, but there's still value in what others throw away. And in the shadows of the junkyard, Mother and daughter held on to something they hadn't felt in a long time. Hope Cole spent the rest of the day collecting parts. He walked through rows of broken engines, rusted panels, and cracked cargo containers with a focused expression. He wasn't searching for valuable tech this time. He wasn't looking to sell or salvage. Today, he was building something different, something that mattered. The shelter he had in mind wasn't fancy, but it would be safe, warm, and hidden. A place where the alien mother and daughter could sleep, without fear of being found. He found a half-buried escape pod with a working hatch. The insulation was damaged, but the frame was solid. He dragged out bent supports, replaced the seal, and reinforced the corners with old mining plates. From nearby wrecks, he pulled scraps of insulation, a clean water tank, and even a small solar battery. By evening, he had assembled a small structure between two massive junk piles. From the outside, it looked like trash-bent panels and old parts stacked against each other. But inside, it was quiet. Safe Cole returned to where he had met them and found the girl sitting on a crate, watching the sky. Her mother stood nearby, still alert, her eyes scanning the yard for threats. "You built something," the mother said as he approached. Cole nodded. "Come see." They followed him through a narrow path between cargo shells until they reached the hidden structure. Cole pushed the door open, revealing a soft glow from the solar light inside. "It's not much," he said, "but it's better than sleeping in the dirt." The girl stepped inside first, her eyes lit up with quiet amazement. "There's light," she whispered, "and warmth," Cole added. "It'll hold through the night. I'll keep watch nearby." The mother ran her hand across the wall, feeling the reinforced patchwork. Her voice was softer now. "Why are you doing this?" Cole paused. "Because nobody helped me when I was alone. And I swore, if I ever had the chance, I wouldn't walk past someone who needed help." She looked at him for a long time, as if trying to decide if he meant it. Finally, she nodded. "My name is Arala," she said, "and this is my daughter, Leia." Cole gave a small smile. "Nice to meet you both." That night, while Arala and Leia slept in their new shelter, Cole sat by a small heater near his workstation. He stared at the flames, deep in thought. He remembered the early days after the war, how many people had been abandoned, how many faces had disappeared. He had survived, but not without scars. And though time had passed, the loneliness had remained. Until now. The next morning, Leia ran to him with something in her hands, a broken datapad. "Can this still work?" she asked. Cole examined it. "It's old, but maybe. Want to help me fix it?" She nodded eagerly. The two sat together, side by side, as Cole showed her how. To remove the cover, clean the wires, and connect a bypass. Her hands were small, but careful. She asked smart questions. She listened. Arala watched from a distance, her expression unreadable. For the first time in a long while, she saw her daughter smile. Not just a small smile, but one full of curiosity. And light. By mid-afternoon, the datapad powered on. Its screen flickered to life. Leia clapped her hands. "It works." Cole chuckled. "You helped. Maybe you're a mechanic now." Arala approached slowly. "She hasn't smiled like that since we left our home." Cole stood. "She's strong. She's all I have," Arala said quietly. "And now, T, she sees you as family." A T. Words caught Cole off guard. He looked at Leia, now tapping away at the screen, her face full of focus. "I'm not much," he said. "Just a man in a junkyard." "You gave her safety," Arala replied. "It's more than most." Cole didn't know what to say. That night, as stars filled the sky, he sat by the heater again, but this time, he wasn't alone. Leia sat beside him, asking about stars and tools. Arala sat nearby, watching the quiet peace between them, and, in a place built from scrap and silence, something new was beginning to grow. A home. Over the next few days, the junkyard changed not in appearance, but in spirit. What was once a quiet, forgotten corner of metal and dust now echoed with soft laughter and the hum of new beginnings. Cole wasn't alone anymore. And the junkyard wasn't just a place for scraps, it had become a shelter, a classroom, and most of all, a home. Every morning, Cole would rise early and begin his routine, checking power lines, rotating solar panels, and sorting through new drop-offs from traders. But now, he had help. Leia would follow him everywhere, asking questions and offering small hands to hold tools and carry bolts. She was quick to learn and quicker to smile. One afternoon, as they worked on rewiring a broken fuel cell, Cole stopped and looked at her. "You? Catch on fast," he said. Leia grinned. "Because you're a good teacher." Cole smiled, but deep down he felt something unfamiliar. Pride. Not in himself, but in the bond that was forming between them. Arala was still quiet. She watched over Leia with a protective gaze, always alert. But slowly, she had begun to soften too. She helped Cole clean up parts of the yard, organized storage bins, and even started cooking small meals over the heater. One evening, they all shared a simple meal: heat cubes and dried root slices. It wasn't much, but it felt warm. Leia giggled at something Cole said, and Arala smiled. Really smiled, for the first time since arriving. "This feels strange," Arala said, her voice thoughtful. Cole raised an eyebrow. "Good, strange. Or bad, strange, good," she said. "But unfamiliar. It's been a long time since we felt peace." Cole nodded. "You deserve it." The next morning, the peace was disturbed, as Cole checked the motion sensors near the outer fence. He noticed something odd. A small light on the panel was blinking, a signal that meant someone or something had crossed into the outer perimeter during the night. He walked the fence line, searching for signs. That's when he saw it: fresh footprints in the dust. Not animal, not Leia or Arala. Heavy boots. Human, someone had been here. He followed the trail until it vanished, near a pile of broken engine cores. Whoever it was, they had come and gone without alerting anyone. Cole returned to the shelter, his face serious. Arala saw him and stood up immediately. "What's wrong?" "Someone was here last night," he said. "A stranger, human, most likely." Her eyes widened. "Did they see us?" "I don't know," Cole replied, "but we need to be careful. I'll reroute the outer alarm and install a second layer of sensors." That day, the warmth faded slightly. Not completely, but enough for everyone to feel it. Cole worked harder than usual. He reinforced the front gate, rigged up emergency flares, and sealed off the tunnel near the southern trench. He didn't say much, but his movements were sharp and focused. Leia noticed. "Are we going to have to leave?" she asked softly. Cole looked at her. "Not yet. But if someone comes looking, I'll make sure they don't find you." She nodded slowly. "I don't want to go." "You won't," he promised. "Not unless there's no other choice." That night, Arala stayed awake, sitting by the shelter door with a small tool in her hand as a weapon. Cole watched her from a distance. He knew what she was thinking. He had thought it to peace was fragile. Still, the next morning came without incident. No signs of movement. No more footprints. Maybe it was just a wanderer, a lost scavenger, or maybe someone had found them and was deciding what to do. As the sun rose, Cole stood by the edge of the junkyard and stared out at the horizon. He thought of how quickly things could change. One act of kindness had created something beautiful, but it could all vanish in an instant. Behind him, Leia's voice broke the silence. "Cole." He turned. "Yeah." She walked up to him, holding a small piece of metal she had shaped into a rough star. "I made this for you." He took it, staring at the jagged edges and bent points. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. "Thanks, kid," he said, gently placing it in his pocket. And in that small, quiet moment, with danger possibly closing in, Cole realized something he would do whatever it took to protect this strange, makeshift family, even if it meant standing alone. Cole didn't sleep much that night, even though no alarm had gone off again. The fresh footprints he had seen earlier still sat heavily on his mind. He checked the junkyard's perimeter 3 times before sunrise. Every sound, every creak of metal in the wind made his heart beat faster. He wasn't worried for himself. He had survived worse. But now, things were different. Now, there was something to lose. He returned to the shelter just as the sky began to lighten. Arla was already up, sitting silently by the door, with Leia still asleep beside her. She looked at Cole, her face calm. "But tense. Anything?" she asked. He shook his head. "No new tracks, no movement. But that doesn't mean no one's watching." Arla stood. "We should leave." Cole looked at her. "Where would you go?" She didn't answer right away. "Anywhere else. We've run before. We can do it again." "You shouldn't have to," Cole said. "I built this place for you. I can protect it." "You don't owe us that," she replied. "I know," Cole said quietly. "But I still choose to." Arala looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "Then we stay. For now." Leia woke up a little later and joined them for a small breakfast, nothing more than nutrient bars and heated broth. But she was cheerful, unaware of the tension between the adults. "Can we fix the old crawler today?" she asked excitedly. Cole smiled. "If you find the right fuse, we'll give it a try." They spent the morning sorting parts. Cole taught Leia how to read circuit labels and how to tell a good wire from a useless one. Arala helped by cleaning up the western section of the yard, stacking parts that had been untouched for years. But as the sun reached its peak, the warning bell rang. It was faint, just one soft chime from the old signal detector near the front gate, but it meant something had tripped the outer sensor. Cole froze. He ran to the gate's viewing panel and looked through the narrow crack. A small drone hovered in the distance. It wasn't military, but it wasn't local either. Its smooth black surface had no markings. It scanned slowly, passing over the scrap piles, searching for life. Cole ducked back down and motioned to Arala. "Hide, now." She grabbed Leia and rushed to the emergency hideout Cole had built into the side of the largest cargo shell. It was insulated, lined with metal to block heat signatures. Cole had installed it just in case. Now was that time. As the two disappeared inside, Cole closed the hatch and scattered debris over the door to hide it. Then he walked calmly to the open yard and acted like nothing was wrong. The drone moved closer, now just above the junk piles. Cole pretended to dig through scrap, hoping the machine would believe he was alone. He could feel it scanning him. Watching, after a moment, it beeped and turned. It moved away, heading back toward the hills. Cole waited until it was completely gone before exhaling. He walked back to the hidden compartment and opened it. "They're gone," he said. For now, Leia looked up at him with wide eyes. "Why are they looking for us?" "'Cause people fear what they don't understand," Cole said. "And some think helping others is a threat." "That's wrong," she whispered. "No," he said gently. Later that night, the shelter was silent again, but something had changed. The peace they had felt was now fragile, like glass under pressure. Arala sat beside the small heater, staring into the soft light. "They'll be back, next time, with soldiers, or worse." "I know," Cole said. "We can't stay here," she whispered. "We'll only bring danger to you." Cole looked at her. "Maybe, but if you go, you'll still be in danger." "At least here, I can help." Arala shook her head. "Why do you care so much?" Cole didn't answer right away. He stared at the stars through the roof vent. "Because I've seen what happens when no one does," he said. And I'm tired of watching good people suffer while others turn away." Silence followed. Then, softly, Arala said, "We'll trust you. One more time." Cole nodded. "Then we'll make a plan. We'll be ready." Outside, the wind moved through the broken hulls, whistling between the trash. Somewhere, far off, machines stirred and eyes searched. But inside the junkyard, among trash and broken pieces, three souls prepared to stand together. No matter what came next. The next 2 days passed in uneasy silence. Cole spent his time reinforcing the junkyard's outer fences. He repurposed broken drone parts to build decoys and motion sensors, set traps along the North Ridge, and wired up to emergency alarms. The yard had never been so defended. Yet no one said the word out loud: fear. It hung in the air, thick and quiet, resting in every shadow. Leia noticed the change. She didn't laugh as much. She stopped asking questions. Her hands, once busy fixing small gadgets, now stayed tucked in her lap. She didn't speak unless spoken to, Arala noticed. 2. She sat beside her daughter every night, brushing her fingers through the girl's hair, whispering soft things in her native tongue. But there was only so much comfort she could give. They were still being hunted, still unwelcome. Cole hated the silence most of all. On the third evening, he walked out to the far edge of the junkyard. The suns were setting, casting long shadows across twisted metal. He stood alone among the wreckage, breathing in the dry air. This was his home. He had spent years building something from nothing, and now it felt like it could all disappear in a single moment. Behind him, he heard soft footsteps. It was Arala. "You shouldn't walk out alone," she said gently. "I needed space to think," he replied. She nodded and stood beside him, her eyes watching the fading sky. "You're afraid for us." "I'm afraid of losing what we've built," Cole said. "You, Leia. This place finally meant something, and now it's under threat." Arla looked at him. "You could walk away. Let us go. You don't owe us anything." Cole turned toward her. "You're wrong. I owe you everything." She blinked, confused. "Why?" "Because before you came, I was just surviving," he said. "Fixing things, eating alone, sleeping alone. I didn't even notice how empty I felt. But you gave this place a heartbeat. You gave me a reason to protect something again." Arala was quiet for a moment. Then she said, softly, "Thank you." Later that night, Leia sat by Cole's small workbench. He was fixing a broken transmitter, something old and rusted, but still full of potential. Leia watched him closely. "Will they come back?" she asked. He looked up at her. "They might, but we'll be ready." "What if they take us?" she whispered. "They won't," he said firmly. Leia hesitated, then asked, "If we have to leave, will you come with us?" Cole paused. That question carried more weight than she realized. "Yes," he said, after a moment. "Wherever you go, I'll go." Leia smiled faintly, then leaned her head on the table. "You're like my uncle now," she whispered sleepily. "Maybe even like a dad." The words hit Cole harder than he expected. He stared at her for a long moment before saying, "Then I guess I have even more reason to fight for this." That night, Cole stayed awake by the outer gate, rifle across his lap, listening to the night wind whistle through the junk. He wasn't just guarding metal and scraps. He was guarding family. Just before dawn, a light blinked on his wrist scanner. Movement. Southridge. He stood up quickly, eyes narrowed. Through the scope, he saw a small group approaching, 3 figures in dark suits. Moving low, quiet, fast. Not scavengers, not traders. They were coming for something. Or someone. Cole activated the alarm. A sharp whistle echoed through the yard. Inside the shelter, Arala grabbed Leia and moved to the hidden compartment. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They had practiced this. They knew the drill. Cole climbed to the sniper perch he had welded onto an old satellite dish. He loaded the rifle and took aim. His hands were steady. His mind was clear. The first intruder crossed the outer line. Cole fired a warning, shot missing. By inches on purpose. The figure froze. "Leave now." Cole's voice boomed through the speaker. "This is private ground. Next shot won't miss." For a moment, nothing moved. Then, slowly, the figures backed away. Disappearing into the rising fog, Cole kept his aim steady until they were gone. When he finally climbed down, Arala was waiting. "You scared them off," she said. "For now," he replied, "but they'll be back. What will we do?" Cole looked at her. "We survive? Together." And as the morning sun rose again over the junkyard, lighting up the twisted shapes and rusted edges, Cole stood firm. He had built a home from trash. Now he would protect it like it was made of gold. The days after the warning shot were tense but quiet. Cole kept watch from the satellite perch, scanning the horizon for any signs of the dark-suited figures. Arala and Leia stayed mostly inside the shelter, repairing what they could and resting. The small home they had built from scraps was still standing, but the fear of another attack lingered like a shadow. Cole worked tirelessly, reinforcing the fences and setting up more traps around the perimeter. He modified old sensors to detect movement from a greater distance and programmed small drones to patrol at night. His hands ached from welding and wiring, but he didn't stop. This wasn't just a junkyard anymore, was their sanctuary. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, Cole gathered Arala and Leia near the fire pit he had built from old engine parts. The orange glow lit their faces softly, casting long shadows against the piles of scrap. "We need a plan," Cole said quietly. "We can't keep hiding forever. Those people will come back, and they'll be better prepared next time." Kirila nodded. "We have to leave. Find a place where no one hunts us." Leia looked up at Cole, her eyes wide. "Can we really leave? Will it be safe?" Cole smiled gently. "We'll find a way. Together." Over the next few days, they prepared for the journey. Cole packed what little supplies they had: food, water, tools, and a small weapon he had repaired. He taught Leia how to use the weapon, careful to make sure she understood it was for protection only. Arala found an old map of nearby trade routes and safe havens. She pointed out a station several jumps away, a place where outcasts and refugees lived without fear. "That's where we'll go," she said with hope. But the night before they planned to leave, the junkyard fell silent. No engines, no footsteps. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Cole stood watch, eyes fixed on the dark horizon. Suddenly, a soft beep came from his scanner. A ship was approaching. Not the small transport they had hoped for, but a larger, heavily armed vessel. The intruder landed near the edge of the yard. Figures in armor stepped out, moving with purpose. Cole grabbed his rifle and called to Arala. "Get ready, they're here." The alien mother quickly gathered Leia and hid her in the deepest part of the shelter. Cole positioned himself near the entrance, ready to defend what they had built. The armored figures approached slowly, weapons raised but not firing. "Cole," a voice called out. It was Mira, a former ally from Cole's salvage crew. She stepped forward, lowering her weapon. "I heard you were helping aliens," Mira said. "That's dangerous." "I'm not letting them die out here," Cole replied firmly. "They're not enemies." Myra looked conflicted but nodded. "I can help you get off this planet. We have to move fast," Cole agreed. Together, they moved Leia and Arala onto Mira's ship, loading supplies quickly. As the ship lifted off, Cole looked back at the junkyard, the home he had built from trash. The place where they had found hope. "Thank you," Arala whispered. "No," Cole said. "Thank you for trusting me." The ship sped into the stars, carrying 3 souls toward a new beginning. Cole didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, he felt something he thought was lost. Hope. The stars outside the ship glittered like scattered diamonds against the black velvet of space. Inside the small cabin, the air was warm and still. Cole sat beside Arala and Leia, watching as the galaxy stretched endlessly beyond the viewport. For the first time in many months, the 3 were safe. Away from the cold junkyard, the dangerous patrols, and the fear that had shadowed them for so long. Leia leaned against her mother, her eyelids heavy with sleep. She clutched the small tool Cole had given her, the broken piece she had once fixed in the junkyard. Now a symbol of hope and new beginnings. Arala looked up at Cole, her eyes soft but filled with gratitude. "You saved us," she said quietly. Cole shook his head. "We saved each other." They had come so far from hiding in scrap piles to flying through the stars. But the journey had changed them all. Cole was no longer the lonely man in a forgotten junkyard. He was a protector, a friend, a family. The ship's pilot, a quiet woman named Myra, entered the cabin and smiled. "We'll reach the settlement in a few hours. It's a place where no one asks questions, where you can start fresh." Cole nodded. "Thank you for helping us." Myra shrugged. "Everyone deserves a chance." The 3 sat together in comfortable silence, watching stars drift past. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it felt full of promise. As the ship slowed toward the peaceful settlement, Cole thought about all that had happened. The kindness that had sparked in a junkyard had grown into something powerful. A home, a family, and a chance to belong. Leia stirred and looked up at Cole. "Will we ever go back?" He smiled gently. "Maybe someday. But right now, this is our new beginning." Arala held her daughter close. "We're safe, together." Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out the small metal star Leia had made for him. He handed it back to her. "This belongs to you," he said. "A reminder that even from broken things, something beautiful can grow." Leia smiled, hugging the star tightly. The ship docked, and the doors opened to reveal a bustling station filled with life and hope. Cole, Arala, and Leia stepped out together, ready to face whatever came next, because they were no longer alone. They were family, and in the vastness of space, that was everything.